For centuries, people believed it was poisonous. European aristocrats were afraid to even touch it. It was grown purely as an ornamental plant, and no one dared put it in their mouth. Today, it's one of the most consumed foods on the planet, something you eat almost every day, in sauce, salad, pizza, ketchup. This is the tomato, and its history is one of the strangest in the story of food. But that's just the beginning, because scientifically speaking, the tomato is not a vegetable. It contains a compound your body absorbs better when it's cooked, which contradicts almost everything you know about vegetables. And there are people for whom it can cause real harm. In the next 8 minutes, you'll learn everything. Before we continue, this channel exists for people who want to understand food through science, not marketing. We take peer-reviewed research and translate it into plain language. If that's what you're here for, subscribe now. It gets more interesting from here. The tomato's homeland is not Italy, as most people assume. It's the western coast of South America, in what is now Peru and Ecuador. The wild tomato was tiny, about the size of a pea, and it was domesticated in that small form by the Aztecs in Mexico long before Europeans ever arrived. Spanish conquistadors brought the tomato to Europe in the early 16th century, and that's where things got strange. The tomato belongs to the nightshade family, the same family that includes belladonna, the deadly poisonous Atropa belladonna. European botanists noticed the similar leaves and immediately concluded it was poisonous. Aristocrats ate from pewter plates with high lead content. The tomato's acidity leached lead out of the dishware. People got sick, and the tomato was blamed. As a result, for nearly 200 years, Europeans grew tomatoes purely as ornamental plants. They were too afraid to eat them. The turning point came in Italy in the late 18th century, where the poor population, who had little to lose, began adding tomatoes to their food and discovered they weren't poisonous at all, but remarkably delicious. From there, the tomato began its conquest of global cuisine. In the United States, the story was even more dramatic. According to legend, in 1820, Colonel Robert Gibbon Johnson publicly ate an entire basket of tomatoes on the courthouse steps in New Jersey in front of a crowd that expected him to die. He didn't. This moment is often considered the turning point for American attitudes toward tomatoes. Today, there are over 10,000 varieties of tomatoes in the world. 10,000! From tiny cherry tomatoes the size of a grape to massive heirloom varieties weighing over a kilogram. There are black tomatoes with a deep, smoky flavor. There are striped green varieties that stay green even when ripe. There are pear-shaped ones, ribbed ones, nearly purple ones. Commercial greenhouses grow mostly 1 or 2 types, chosen for yield and shipping durability. This means 99% of people in the world have never tasted the real diversity of flavor a tomato is capable of. An average tomato weighs around 120 grams and contains just 22 calories. It's one of the lowest calorie foods you can eat in large quantities without any consequences for body weight. This is the single most important compound in a tomato. Lycopene is a powerful carotenoid antioxidant responsible for the tomato's red color. Research has linked regular lycopene intake to a reduced risk of cardiovascular disease and certain cancers, particularly prostate cancer. Unlike most vitamins, lycopene actually becomes more bioavailable after cooking. Cooked or stewed tomato delivers more usable lycopene to your body than raw tomato. Adding olive oil during cooking boosts absorption even further, since lycopene is fat-soluble. One medium tomato covers about 20% of your daily vitamin C requirement. Tomatoes contain more potassium per calorie than bananas, supporting healthy heart rhythm and blood pressure. Tomatoes are a good source of vitamin K, essential for blood clotting and bone health, and folate, critical for DNA synthesis and especially important during pregnancy. Tomatoes are about 94% water, making them one of the best foods for hydration through diet. At the same time, they provide enough fiber to support healthy digestion. From a botanical standpoint, the tomato is a berry. It develops from the ovary of a flower and contains seeds inside. In 1893, the United States Supreme Court officially classified the tomato as a vegetable, but purely for tariff and taxation purposes on imports. Science has never agreed with that ruling. Tomato leaves and stems contain solanine and tomatine, alkaloids that can be toxic in large amounts. This is a remnant of its family ties to poisonous nightshades. NASA has grown tomatoes aboard the International Space Station as part of experiments in microgravity food cultivation, part of preparations for long-duration missions to Mars. A question for you. Write it in the comments. Do you eat your tomatoes raw or cooked? Because now you know, this isn't just a matter of taste. Cooking genuinely changes how much lycopene your body actually absorbs. And tell me, did you know the U.S. Supreme Court officially ruled on whether the tomato is a fruit or vegetable? The high acidity of tomatoes can worsen symptoms of acid reflux and heartburn in people prone to these conditions. Tomatoes contain moderate levels of purines, which in some sensitive individuals can affect uric acid levels. They're not a primary cause of gout, but worth monitoring during flare-ups. Some people have a sensitivity specifically to the nightshade family, tomatoes, eggplant, peppers, potatoes. They may experience inflammatory responses or digestive discomfort. Because of their vitamin K content, people taking anticoagulant medications like warfarin should keep their tomato intake consistent and discuss it with their doctor. Let's wrap up. For centuries, the tomato was considered poison, and today science confirms it's one of the most beneficial foods you can eat daily. Lycopene protects the heart. Cooking increases its benefits rather than reducing them. It's technically a fruit, legally a vegetable, and the debate still isn't fully settled. Science doesn't claim the tomato is a miracle food. It says this: it's an affordable, accessible, and remarkably nutrient-dense food, if you know how to prepare it. If this video changed even one thing about how you think about food, subscribe, because there are plenty more foods out there hiding more than they let on. See you next time.